The Orion assembly looked like a giant silver ring floating around a dying star. Its surface glowed with soft blue light, and ships from every corner of the galaxy docked at its gates. Inside, hundreds of alien species gathered to make decisions that shaped the future of the galaxy. Jace Merrick stood at the viewing window of Earth's shuttle, staring at the massive station. His dark eyes narrowed, not in fear but in focus. At 32, he was Earth's youngest ambassador. A former hacker, he had traded code for conversation, using his quick mind and sharp words to fight for his planet. "We're here," said Commander Ellis, the older officer leading Earth's delegation. "You ready for this?" Jace nodded. "Let's make history." The docking doors opened with a hiss. Jace and the Earth team stepped onto the smooth silver floors of the assembly. Alien delegates turned to look, some with eyes, some with sensors, others with strange glowing orbs. Most just stared. Jace walked with confidence, wearing a black Earth suit with the blue and green planet symbol on his chest. He felt the weight of Earth's hopes on his shoulders. The assembly hall was huge. Tall arches stretched high above them, and lights floated in the air like silent stars. At the center sat the High Council, including the most powerful species in the galaxy. Overseer Lorok Ven sat at the highest seat. She was tall and covered in silver-blue scales. Her eyes were thin slits of glowing white. She spoke without moving her mouth. Her voice came through a translator chip in every delegate's ear. "State your purpose," she said. Jace stepped forward. "I am Jace Merrick of Earth," he said clearly. "My people have united. We have ended war, solved energy, cured disease. We have built ships that move faster than light. We come in peace, ready to share, to learn, and to join the Orion assembly." Silence. Then Lorok spoke. "Request denied." Jace blinked. "Excuse me. Earth is not ready. Your history shows chaos, violence, and pride. The Council has voted. Your species is rejected." Gasps echoed across the hall. Jace's hands curled into fists, but he stayed calm. "No discussion, no chance to speak?" he asked. "There is nothing to discuss," Lorok said. "Earth may try again in 100 years. Jace's heart pounded. He looked at the faces of the other delegates. Some seemed confused, others afraid, but most remained cold and silent. Commander Ellis touched his arm. "Let's go, Jace. There's nothing more we can do." Jace nodded slowly, but his mind was racing. Something was wrong. This wasn't just caution, it was fear. The Council was hiding something. As they walked back to the shuttle, Jace turned and looked at the Grand Hall one more time. They tried to shut him out, but he wasn't done yet. Jace Merrick sat in the quiet of Earth's docking quarters, staring at the cold metal table in front of him. Around him, the Earth delegation packed their things in silence. No one spoke about the rejection. The weight of disappointment filled the room like thick fog. Commander Ellis finally broke the silence. "We'll return to Earth by morning. Let the politicians deal with this mess." Jace didn't look up. They didn't even give a reason. Just, not ready. Ellis sighed. "They're afraid of us. Simple as that. Maybe we move too fast. Maybe we don't fit their mold." Jace stood. His voice was steady. "Or maybe they just don't want us to have a voice." Ellis turned toward him. "Let it go, Jace. It's over." But Jace couldn't. Something about the rejection felt too clean, too rehearsed. It wasn't just caution. It was a decision made long ago. That night, while the others rested, Jace sat alone with a small device on his wrist. He tapped in a security code, one he wasn't supposed to have. The screen lit up. He was back in hacker mode. Jace had once broken into Earth's defense grid as a teenager, just to prove he could. Now, years later, he used the same skills to slip quietly into the Assembly's data archives. Most files were locked behind high-level security, but some were just hidden in plain sight. He searched for keywords: Earth humanity, vote rejection. Pages of reports and transcripts appeared on the screen. One document caught his eye. It was labeled Watch Protocol, Human Expansion. He opened it. Inside were notes from a secret meeting held 70 years ago. Delegates from the older species had met to discuss Earth's progress. They called it unstable, emotional, and too ambitious. One line stood out in bold red. Earth must be delayed. Their rise will disrupt balance. Deny entry at all costs. Review every 100 cycles. Jace stared at the words, his hands tightening into fists. This wasn't about peace. This was fear. They weren't protecting the galaxy. They were protecting their power. He downloaded the file to a secure chip hidden in his wristband and shut off the device. In the morning, as the Earth team prepared to leave, Jace pulled Ellis aside. "I'm staying," he said quietly. Ellis looked shocked. "You can't. Our clearance is revoked." "I'm not leaving until I know the full truth," Jace said. "This isn't over." Ellis hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Watch your back." Jace grabbed a small bag, tucked the chip into his jacket, and slipped away into the deep corridors of the Orion assembly. The galaxy had rejected Earth, but now Jace had proof, and he wasn't going to let it go. Jace Marek moved through the lower levels of the Orion assembly, where the shine of power faded into the rust of forgotten halls. These areas weren't shown in the welcome tours. They were quiet, dimly lit, and full of secrets. He couldn't stay near the Earth quarters. He was now here unofficially, with no diplomatic protections. But Jace knew how to hide. He used supply routes and blind corners. His clothes were simple now, no ambassador's suit, just a dark jacket and boots. He kept the chip with a secret file tucked close to his body. His goal was clear: find others who had also been silenced. If the older races feared Earth, they likely feared others too. Not all species had power in the assembly. Some had seats but no voice. Others weren't even allowed to speak. He started asking quiet questions. At first, no one answered. Aliens avoided him, or pretended not to understand. But on the third day, someone spoke back. A tall woman with green skin and glowing veins stepped out of the shadows. Her eyes were soft but sharp. "You're the human," she said. Jace paused. "Depends who's asking." "I'm Senna of Voltor," she said. "We saw your speech, bold, foolish, brave." Jace relaxed a little. "You saw what happened." "We all did. We all knew how it would end." They sat in a dark corner behind a row of service tanks. Senna spoke calmly, like someone used to waiting. She told him her people had been applying for full assembly rights for over 2 centuries. Each time they were told to wait. Like Earth. "They fear change," Senna said. "They built this system to protect themselves. Not the galaxy." Others joined over time. A quiet creature with a jelly-like form named Drox. A twin pair of bird-like siblings from a world called Cyrene. They all had stories of blocked requests, false promises, and silent doors. Jace listened. He shared what he found in the secret file. Their eyes widened. "They planned this long ago," he said. "Not just against Earth, against all of us." The small group began to meet every night, hidden in the unused parts of the station. Jace called it the Undercircle. Not a rebellion, not yet, but a voice forming in the dark. But the assembly was not blind. One evening, as Jace returned from a meeting, 2 tall guards blocked his path. Their armor was dark silver, marked with the assembly's crest. Behind them stood Overseer Lorak Ven. She looked at him with cold eyes. "You are not welcome here," she said. "You are no longer an ambassador, no longer protected by law." Jace stood tall. "Then why haven't you thrown me out?" "Because I want to see what you'll do next," she said. "I want to see how far you'll fall." She turned and left. The guards followed. Jace's heart pounded, but his mind was clear. She knew. And now the clock was ticking. He returned to the Undercircle that night, with a new plan. "If they're afraid of our voices," he said, "then we make them impossible to ignore." The lights in the hallway flickered. Jace Marek moved quickly through the shadows, his boots silent against the metal floor. He had just finished sharing the secret assembly file with the Undercircle. The truth was out. Now it was time to act. But someone had already spoken. Before he reached the service tunnels, 3 guards appeared from a side door. One of them raised a stunner. Jace stopped, hands up. You are under arrest for unauthorized access to classified assembly data, the lead guard said. Jace didn't resist. He knew fighting now would ruin everything. He needed time, not more trouble. The guards led him through quiet corridors toward a secure holding area. He walked calmly, but his mind raced. Who had betrayed him? When the doors closed behind him, Jace was pushed into a small gray cell, no windows. One bench. A scanner watched from the ceiling. An hour passed, maybe more. Then the door slid open. Overseer Lorak Ven stepped inside, her long silver-blue cloak dragging softly across the floor. She stood tall, looking down at him like a ruler judging a thief. "You found what we buried," she said. "But truth doesn't give you power, human. It gives you targets." Jace stood. "You're afraid of what Earth might become. That's why you locked us out." Lorak's eyes narrowed. "You grow fast, too fast. Your kind destroys what it does not understand." "We've changed," Jace said. "But you never gave us the chance to prove it." Lorak didn't answer. She turned and walked out, leaving him alone again. But Jace wasn't alone for long. Hours later, the lights in the cell blinked twice, then turned red. The scanner shut off. A soft knock came from the wall behind the bench. A panel slid open. Senna's face appeared through the gap. "Move," she whispered. Now, Jace didn't ask questions. He crawled through the opening and into a narrow service tunnel. They moved fast, twisting through tight corridors, past hot vents and silent wires. "Who told them?" he asked, as they ran. Senna didn't look back. "Drox," he panicked. Thought the assembly would go easier on his people if he gave them something. Jace felt a mix of anger and sadness. "We were so close, we still are," Senna said. "You just need to speak, loud, where no one can shut you down." They reached a control room hidden beneath the assembly's lower deck. Old tech, barely used. But it had one thing Jace needed: a direct connection to the main broadcast system. "This goes live tomorrow during the Harmony Summit," Senna said. "You'll have 60 seconds before they cut it." Jace nodded. 60 seconds is enough. He looked at the screen. His face reflected back at him, tired, tense but ready. The Council had silenced Earth once. Tomorrow they would hear the truth, whether they wanted to or not. The Harmony Summit was the largest gathering of the Orion Assembly in 100 years. Delegates from across the galaxy filled the Grand Hall. Light flowed from the ceiling like streams of liquid gold. Floating orbs translated speeches in every known language. Overseer Lorak Ven stood at the center, speaking calmly to the crowd. "We gather in peace," she said. "We honor tradition. We protect balance." Jace Merrick watched from a hidden room deep inside the assembly walls. Sweat ran down his back. Beside him, Senna worked quickly at the controls. "You have 1 minute," she said. "After that they'll trace the signal." Jace nodded. "Start the feed." Senna flipped a switch. The screen behind Lorak's platform flickered. Her voice stopped. All eyes turned as a new image appeared. Jace Merrick's face, calm but firm. "This is Jace Merrick. Of Earth," he said. "You denied us without reason. You told us to wait another 100 years, but you didn't tell the truth." Delegates whispered. Some shouted. Lorak raised her hand, trying to shut down the broadcast. Jace kept speaking. "You said we were dangerous, unstable. But that's not why you rejected us. I found your records. I know your plan. You feared Earth, not because of what we've done, but because of what we might become." He held up the chip. "This file proves it. A secret vote. A quiet pact. A decision made before we ever arrived." The room grew silent. "You claim to lead a galaxy built on peace and unity, but you close your doors to those who are different. That's not peace, that's control." Lorak shouted orders. Security scrambled to cut the signal. Jace looked straight into the camera. "We're not perfect, but we've earned the right to grow. The right to speak. We are not your threat. We are your future." The screen went black. Silence. Then the room exploded with noise. Arguments, protests, applause. The assembly shook with voices not heard in ages. The smaller worlds, the silent ones, stood and demanded answers. The High Council called for an emergency vote. Jace and Senna watched from the shadows, hearts pounding. They had spoken. Now the galaxy would have to listen. The emergency vote lasted 3 hours. The assembly had never moved so fast. Delegates argued, debated, and demanded fairness. The broadcast had shaken the galaxy. In the shadows of the assembly hall, Jace Merrick waited with Senna and the other members of the Undercircle. The air felt heavy, full of pressure and change. At the center, Overseer Lorak Ven stood before the delegates, her face unreadable. The final vote was complete. She raised a hand, and the chamber fell silent. "The results are clear," she said. "By a majority vote, Earth is granted full membership into the Orion Assembly." The chamber erupted. Some delegates clapped, others stormed out in protest. But the decision had been made. Jace closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Senna touched his arm. "You did it." "No," he said. "We did." Moments later, a guard approached them. For a second, Jace tensed, but the guard simply nodded. "The council requests your presence," he said. Jace stepped into the center of the hall. His face was tired, but his voice was steady. "I accept Earth's seat," he said. Not in anger. Not to prove a point, but to build something better together. He turned to look at the new allies he had made. Senna, the bird-like Cyrene twins, others from worlds long ignored. Their faces were full of hope. Lorak stepped down from her high seat. Her time was over. She passed Jace without a word. Jace climbed the steps to Earth's new place among the stars. The seat was small, but the view was wide. Whole planets, whole futures, waiting. The assembly would never be the same. Earth had spoken, and this time the galaxy had listened.